Happy Sunday, everybody. It's hashtag Showcase Sunday. And today we have got an outstanding lady who's bringing lots of top tips and lots of really important information for us all to listen to. So let me take you over to Naomi of Saltire Financial. Naomi, can you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it, please.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody's well. As Alison just said, my name is Naomi. I have my own business called Saltire Financial Services, and I specialize in business protection. So basically, what that means is that I protect businesses in the instance if anybody important, so think directors or key persons, shareholders were to pass away, get a critical illness, or get injured or get sick and can't work, and I protect the business in that eventuality so it can still function. And I feel very strongly that businesses aren't aware of this. They don't know enough about it. They aren't protected. And I think I want to change that. And I want to come in and make sure that people are aware and they know what's going on. And I provide a service for free. My services are free. So I think that's important as well.
So, and that's the incredible thing. When I spoke to you earlier about this, I was just really blown away because we all forget. We're all very busy in our businesses. I've got a lot of people around the country who are literally great at strategy, great at running the business, but we forget about what if something goes wrong, the risk assessment on ourselves, which is a fearful thing for a lot of us to think about on a daily basis. But if it's all planned, that in the event that something goes wrong, it's all sorted, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
I think there's quite a stigma attached to it as well. I think people don't like talking about it because
No.
they almost don't want to think that that could happen. But I mean, for example, critical illness or cancer is every 1 in 2. So it's on our doorsteps and it does happen. And I've seen instances where something's gone wrong and the businesses can't continue because they haven't had that protection in place, and it's unfortunately they've had to cease trading. And people put their time, money, energy into building these businesses. So it would be crazy to think that they didn't do this. So I want to make that stigma easier and more comfortable for people to be able to find more information about.
And it is like actually planning your legacy, planning your exit strategy, which I teach, and you think we should all be doing that daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and actually
Absolutely.
reassessing it. So it's some of the stories you've told me is just unbelievable. So what got you into it? Why do you do it? What is it?
Do you know, so it started off with personal protection. So, life insurance, critical illness, income protection for people personally. So think mortgage protection and family protection. And I lost my dad when I was young. So it was 2 days after my 14th birthday. And if it wasn't for his life insurance, my mum wouldn't have been able to keep the family home. We wouldn't have been able to continue the lifestyle we were accustomed to, the holidays we went on, etc. And I think from a very young age, I was appreciative of what that gave us. And then I was actually in telesales for a publishing company. And then COVID hit and the event industry broke. We
Yeah,
all
yeah, it
know
did.
it broke. And at the time I was heavily pregnant. And when I was on maternity leave, I said to my husband, I I need a plan B. And I want that plan B to be something where I can make a difference. And so 2 years ago, I've been doing it for 2 years now. So 2 years ago, I started training to do this. And I just feel really passionate about protecting people, protecting families, protecting livelihoods, and protecting businesses solely because I experienced it at such a young age. And I think life's too short. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know for a fact that I wouldn't want to leave any extra stress on my family if I didn't need to. And if I can offer people peace of mind, then that's exactly what I want to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've experienced it firsthand, which gives
Yeah,
added power and passion to make sure that nobody else, would go through the opposite of what you went through, which is incredible. And
yeah,
it's, when you say, what you're doing and why you're doing it, when you can feel the passion coming through. So why you? Because this is really important. What is your unique selling point? What is it that why people should ask for Naomi rather than just get asked any other insurance person to come and protect their business and themselves?
yeah, absolutely. I think if you were to ask my clients, they would say to me that I'm honest and I'm personable. And I think I I'm not here to sell. I'm not here to walk in and say, right, this is everything I can offer. This is what you should have. I'm there to basically serve you. So to assess what you need and to provide your business with what it needs in that worst case scenario. And it's all about offering that relationship and that trust to do so.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important with a lot of businesses, really important. Because there's a lot of people out there selling all sorts of things, but
Yeah,
it's not just what they want, but it is what they need. And what you don't do is give them something that will never actually be in their future forecast at all in the business. So you're not coming in, with an insurance package for a multi-million pound organization for, say, a sole trader, are you?
exactly. And the figures don't lie. And I think that's why if you can present me with the right information, I can offer you a presentation based on that information. So, and I take the time to explain and the whys and the circumstances and the potential situations. And I don't leave an appointment thinking they didn't understand what my explanation was, and I'll make sure that before I did leave that everybody was on the same page and understood.
Giving them the scenarios that they need to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. I love that. That's the thing, isn't it? Making sure they've got that wraparound care, but insurance of protection,
Completely.
protecting them so that they don't be in a situation where they may lose the home or the family may lose the business. And that those areas, because there's, when one person in a partnership passes away, that partnership is null and void then. And there's so many other, directors. There's lots of different experiences that we haven't got
Yeah.
covered, that I see when I go into businesses and say, well, where's your legal stuff with regard to
Yeah.
your business, and they started up a business doing really well, then transformed to another level, but not actually protected that next level. And that
Another,
can
uh,
happen.
I think another instance that people aren't aware of is that it's say, for example, this a director has a director's loan.
Yeah.
If they've got a director's loan, when that person passes away, it instantly needs to be paid. So it's not
Yeah.
it becomes basically it just needs to be paid instantly. But if I can offer an opportunity where capital can be brought in for that to happen, then I can help do that.
Mm.
Shareholders, if a shareholder passes away, those shares go directly to the spouse, but the company might not have the capital to buy the shares back to
Wow.
basically keep the shares within the business. So many instances, and I just think it's important to know what's out there, what is available. Executive income protection is basically a sick pay. It's
Mm.
offering a sick pay. Um, yeah, I think people just aren't aware what's available, how it works, and I'm there to make that process as simple as possible.
And roughly, because lots of people are very time precious,
Yeah,
obviously, I think it's really important to get all your ducks in a row in your business anyway.
yeah.
But when people are time precious and they're busy in the business rather than working on the business, how long does it take? I know it's like a piece of string, isn't
I
it? It
know.
depends on what the elements are, but is it a long meeting, or can it be in bite-sized chunks?
Yeah, I think it's difficult from a every instance is so different, and it depends on the business and how big or small or complicated or not complicated.
Mm.
But 9 times out of 10, if I sit down with a board of directors, for example, they know their figures, so everything's quite smooth from that point of view. They understand the structure of the business. All that
Mm.
information is at hand. And initially, it would just take for me to come and have an initial meeting. I do what's called a fact find. I get all the information that I need. And you're talking, but I quite like to talk. So if I don't talk too much, then I don't know, like an hour, if that, just for me to get all the basic
Good.
information. And then I take that away. I come up with a plan. I come up with a bespoke menu of what I think that company can have to protect
Mm.
themselves. And then I come back, have another sit down meeting, and basically say, this is what I advise. And we have an open and adult conversation about what they think is their priority.
Brilliant, brilliant. And they can choose then what they want to take on board and what they don't want to
Absolutely.
take on board.
And like I say, no fee, no obligation. I'm there to just guide them through the
Mm.
process.
Excellent. And the business pays for it.
And the business pays for it. So from there's lots of different ways, but depending on the product, you're talking tax efficiency, you're talking on saving money on corporation tax. There's lots of different ways to look at it. But again, depending on the product, I'm there to kind of help and guide through that as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's very relevant right now and it should have been relevant all along, but I think
Yeah,
it's more relevant right now more than ever.
yeah.
And we've just gone through a pandemic. We've gone through so many light bulb moments of think about protection and think about your business to protect it, whether it's a strategy and plan, forecasting for the future, but also protecting it as ensuring that in the event that something goes wrong, that it is safe and the legacy continues to carry on. Something
Completely.
yeah,
And I think
yeah.
the pandemic's a really good reason to note
Mm.
that, because we've all watched a lot happen between businesses during the pandemic. Um, so yeah, I think that highlights more so that people should have something
Mm.
like this in place.
Yeah, the more I use an analogy a lot. Fail to plan, plan to fail. And
Yeah.
that is in everything. So it's really important. So, as always, on my Showcase Sundays, I like to ask 5 top tips from my interviewees. Have you got any for us at all, please, Naomi?
So 5 top tips.
Yeah.
How do you make 5 out of loads?
I know. How do you summarize it? That is the big question. I might let you have 6.
So 5 top tips. Number one, definitely pick up the phone,
Yeah.
make the contact. Let's get a time and a date in the diary. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got a busy calendar. So even if it was in a month's time, at least it's in. Tip number two, all I really need is the last year's worth of accounts. So
Okay.
your tax return, preferably the last 3 years. Tip number two is to basically have your last year's worth of accounts. So all the information I need is usually on that, preferably the last 3 years, but certainly the last year would be a good starting point. Tip number three, if you already do have business protection in place, I can review that for free as well. So it would
Wow.
be good to have that to hand so I can evaluate what you've got at the current moment in time compared to what your current account situation, your business accounts, tax returns are sat at. And then I can compare whether you need an update or whether you don't. Again, I'm very honest and very personable. I would never do something if it wasn't right. Tip number 4 is trust, is to basically understand that you can trust me. Everything's private and confidential. I've got my ICO certificate, so when it comes to GDPR and all that, you know, I am a real person. I have experienced all this myself, and I know sometimes people don't like talking about this kinds of things with the business. They like to keep it private, but I assure you, it is completely beneficial and worth it. And I've got all my licenses that, you know, everything is legit, FCA regulated, all of that as well.
But I think actually adding on from that, can you also, if they've thought, heck, I haven't got anything in business sorted, but I've got some aspects of my life, but I'm not sure whether I've got everything. Can you do personal as well as business?
I can, yeah. So I do. Well, that's how I started. So I've still got my personal. Basically, in a nutshell, I do personal protection. I do business protection. I also do private medical insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I do fracture cover as well. In a nutshell, but from a personal protection aspect, it's interesting you mentioned that, because if you're a business owner, now I'm talking, I can cover sole traders, I can cover limited companies, LLPs, you know, all of that is under the same umbrella. But if you're a business owner, people aren't aware that it may be tax efficient to put some of their personal protection actually through the business.
Wow.
So there's all these things to consider as well. But until I sit down with people and assess their circumstances, I can then advise on what their best move is moving forward.
That's brilliant. Yeah, excellent. And number 5?
If I come and see you face to face, have a good coffee in.
I love that.
I love a coffee, a nice one.
Oh,
Is that allowed?
I love that. No. I love that. But it is so it's not that everything that you've just mentioned is not that hard to pull together.
Not at all.
I think number 5 would be open. Be open
Be
to
open.
what you're going to bring as a menu.
Yeah.
And really think what is your top priorities to cover, and it what you know, and I think of being risk clear, you
Yeah.
know, being really clear what risk, and you can go through that with them, can't you? That
Yeah.
you know, when I look at businesses, I do a risk assessment on businesses, whether they're going to survive a pandemic, for example, or survive if the, you know, the staffing or the cash flow or, you know, anything got stopped, so that I could give them a strategy and plan to get to a certain level and
Yeah.
take them further. So we have like strategy and plans to alleviate all that. But you bring in the protection for all those elements. And I think being open of what is important to you,
Yeah.
and understanding what can happen in a risk environment, you know, would save their business, but also save the families, save the staff, save, you know, there's so many different insurances. That's what I'm trying to get at, is to cover, to make sure it protects everybody and leaves a legacy, that it doesn't shut the business down overnight and then the finance stops coming in.
That's it. And I think also to kind of be mindful that there is a lot of different products out there and there's a lot of different providers out there. But I'm essentially here to take that middleman out and make it as understandable as possible, because it can be quite overwhelming. And like I said, there is a stigma attached to it and people don't like talking about it. But it's so important, and just to be open-minded and willing to just let me in and help, I will make that process as easy and as understanding as possible.
Yeah, it's
And also, sorry, I think something we haven't mentioned, which is super important, is about putting these policies into trust as well. And I think trusts are also something that isn't fully understood, and trusts are there to make sure that the monies go to the right people at the right time. You know, it doesn't enter estates, and you know, yeah,
It's protected. It's really protected. Because
hugely.
you hear this all the time from solicitors, lawyers who, you know, talk about wills and probate, and you know, and they're constantly saying people, you know, don't like to make a will just in case suddenly they attract death of some
Yeah, yeah,
description.
yeah.
And I get that, and people say the same with life insurance, you
They
know,
do.
but it's really important to do that risk analysis and protection, so that you are covered in all areas and all shapes and forms, really. So it's, and I love the idea of having a trust so that it keeps that legacy alive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Could
Mm.
agree with you more.
And could they protect IP and things like that with you, just in case?
Again, but it depends how they do it because there's different types. So executive IP, for example, is an income protection that would get paid to the business,
Yeah.
and then the business would pay the employee. But personal IP, if you took it out yourself, would then just get paid directly to you as an income protection. But
Mhm.
executive IP, if you did it through a business, you can claim up to 80% of your income. And that income, for example, includes any dividends, any P11D benefits,
Wow.
any income paid to you. Whereas personal IP, you can only claim up to 65% of your income. But again, until I sit down with people, they won't know that either that might exist or what the best way is around it. So it's good to kind of have that opportunity to discuss those options.
Absolutely, that's brilliant, brilliant. So we've got lots of examples there, of how you've actually helped organize people and get them all ready, all planned and ready and protected. Is there any other examples that we've missed that people need to think about, or you know, that would save them time and money eventually? Because, and what I always think is really important is, you know, when someone is not progressing and making it happen, they're not in enough pain sometimes, that they don't realize how important it is. And people lose the businesses, don't they? Families lose the.
Absolutely.
Is there any examples that you can say, well, you know, in the event that this was protected, this is what I saved? Um, is there any of those examples that you could possibly come up with? Or if you don't do this, this is what could happen.
Yeah, yeah, there's loads because if you break it down to all the different types of products that are available, but say for example, one product is called a relevant life insurance. Okay, so a relevant life insurance would be a policy that's owned by the business, but a lump sum would get paid out, and it would go to the employee, but it's in trust to then go to the employee's beneficiary, which would usually be a spouse. Okay,
Yeah.
so what this is doing, it's almost providing like a death in service,
Mm.
right? So it means that, and the employee would usually be a director. So a director or a shareholder or a key person within the business. So it means that if they passed away, then a lump sum of money would then get paid to the spouse. Okay. That's more a kind of tax efficient way of doing a life insurance, right?
Yeah.
But then I think another important one is shareholder insurance. So say, for example, you've got two directors who own 50% of the business. Let's make it easy. 50% of the business each, but they're two friends, right? So two friends, they own 50% of a business. Director number one passes away. So his 50% of his shares would automatically go to his wife or his
Yeah.
partner. Okay. So what the business would then need, because either say the wife or the partner has nothing to do with the business, has nothing to do with the runnings of it, she's going to own 50% of the business, but won't know what to do or how to run it
Mm.
or anything like that. So then what the business needs is the capital amount of money to buy those shares back. So then director number two would then own 100% of the company.
Yeah.
Now, if you did not have shareholder protection in place, you would probably struggle to find that lump sum of money, that capital to
Oh.
buy the shares back. So then
Mm.
director one's spouse would own 50% of the shares and not really know what to do with them. If I'm completely honest, spouse, partner would probably want the money. They'll probably want the
Yeah.
capital because it's almost seen as a life insurance.
Yeah.
So it not only offers peace of mind to the business that they are able to get the shares back, it
Mm.
also offers peace of mind to the spouses and the partners of the directors that they've got that financial backing, that they're going to essentially get what they're owed out of the shares of the business at that
But
time.
but they may want to actually hire somebody in the place because the business still needs to go on. And sometimes if somebody passes away, for example, that's left a key person out of the
So
business.
you've actually just named the next product.
Okay.
So the next product is what we call key person insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine like you've got a say you've got a sales manager who brings in 60% of your profits, right? Or
Mm.
70% of your profits. This one sales manager, say they fell really poorly and were critically ill and were completely out the equation. Okay.
Mm.
Key holder insurance could provide a lump sum to the business to then use for either hiring a temp, or you could spend it on recruitment fees. We all know recruitment
Yeah.
can be pricey to find
Mm.
the right person to replace this person. Um, and that's exactly it. You know, the business would be in a position where they would need a financial capital to help them see them through that process.
Mm.
And it would also cover any loss that the business would have because that person isn't working, because
Yeah.
there would be a little bit of a transition. So, you know, it protects any profits, it protects loss of earnings, it protects, well, it gives the business opportunity to re-recruit, find the right person. You know, it might offer an opportunity to pay the new person to move because the right person
Mm.
might be 300 miles away down the bottom of the country. And people don't think like this. They don't think
Mm.
that that might be a situation when in fact it could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, it could. There's so many opportunities, and you mentioned medical insurance as well, private medical insurance.
Private
You
medical
know, we
insurance.
it's quite interesting of you know, covering your team as well, because you mentioned a sales manager. It could be, you know, key members of your team that without them, um, you know, you would be stuck as a business. You know, and
And if you had a private medical group policy for it doesn't
mm,
have to be every single member of staff, but say your key members of staff, then at least you know they're going to be getting the best service, they're going to be getting through quickly, they're going to skip NHS waiting lists.
mm,
You know, certain providers offer cancer treatment that the NHS can't provide. And it gives you the peace of mind that you want them to get better as quickly as possible and get that best service. But from an employee point of view, it's also a benefit to them
yeah.
that makes them want to stay with you as an employer. So yeah, but again, another thing where you can look at it from loads of different angles.
Love it. Love it. And if someone was sat on the fence right now, I'd be saying, why
Yeah, why?
at all?
Yeah.
But if someone was sat on the fence right now saying, yeah, that sounds really great, but I've had a bad experience because I can almost hear directors shouting, Alison, you know, we've had this experience of insurance people before. They come in the office and they promise us the earth and then they don't deliver, or it's very confusing,
Yep.
and they take too much time. And I've only got half an hour and I want it all done in that. You know, I can almost hear
Yeah, 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 yeah,
all my clients, all my all my colleagues in the industry, you
yeah,
name it, shouting, hey, you know. So, you know, if someone sat on the fence right now, what would any of your previous clients say to them, or anybody who's been through this process like yourself,
yeah,
um, and say this is a no-brainer, get it signed up, whether it's you or whether it's somebody, but ideally you, because you know your stuff with it,
yeah,
and you're not going to just sell it for the selling's sake, you
yeah.
know. But if someone was sat on the fence right now, what would you or your past clients say to them?
Honesty. I think if you're honest with me, I can be honest with you. And I am absolutely not there to get a sale. I am there to advise you to protect your business. And if I can help you from the beginning to end of that whole process, then amazing. But at least I'm there to offer you the opportunity to protect your business in the worst case scenario that something awful would happen when it came to death, critical illness, or sickness and injury. And if you are honest with me and say, do you know what, Naomi, I've only got half an hour, I would drive 5 hours for that half an hour appointment, because if I know that I can help you and I can do it for free, I will do that.
Wow. And can you do it online for anybody rather than driving for 5 hours? Because I've got a lot of
Yes.
sustainability clients who say, hold on a minute, what's she driving 5 hours for half an hour?
So, but it's funny you should say that, because when it comes to things like this, actually a lot of people would prefer face to face. They
Yeah,
prefer
I
to
prefer,
sit
yeah,
down and do face to face. However,
yeah.
yes, I do Zooms as well, or Teams, or however you want to do it. I'm very kind of flexible in that instance. It can happen in whatever way, shape, or form that's convenient for you, because it's all about time is business. We're all
Yeah.
business people. Time is business. So if I can help you make it as quick as possible, I will absolutely do that.
Brilliant, brilliant. And it's about making sure that all of the information that you bring together is driven in the right way, because even if it's on Zoom, you can get it over by email, can't you? You can,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's either a case of getting somebody or yourself to take a picture and send it, or scan it.
yeah.
Again, it's all about efficiency. Whatever is the quickest way to do it. I'm more than happy to get in touch with accountants on your behalf if you wanted me to, and I could request what I need, or you can get them to send it to me. Again, it's all about whatever works for that individual or individuals within a business, to make the process as easy and as quick as possible.
That is amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very
So
welcome.
if anybody's sat on the fence right now thinking, do I need it? Then that's a no-brainer, definitely, because the other side of it is very painful. You know, if you're in critical illness, or if there is a death within your business, then at least you're protected. The key, I always say to every single person in business, is the awareness is the key. When you're aware, you're in a very, very strong position to be able to plan and do something about it. If you're not aware, that can be a major problem. But you brought
What they need to do, Alison, is they need to come off the fence and ask
yeah,
themselves, if I died tomorrow, what would happen?
yes,
If I had a stroke tomorrow and I was incapacitated, what would happen?
absolutely. Or any
And
other
that,
critical
and then pick up the
illness.
phone.
Yeah. And then say, right, how can I plan and get the action sorted that I don't have
Absolutely.
that situation?
If my best salesperson got really poorly tomorrow, what would happen?
Absolutely. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Naomi. It's been very, very thought-provoking, and certainly important for anybody listening right now. You've got to get, planned for any risk whatsoever, but the protection is key now. And we're going to put all your details at the end of our interview, our Showcase Sunday, so people can get in touch. But how is the best way that you would prefer people to get in touch with you?
Pick up the phone or email, whatever works best.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time and for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. If it can help at least one business right now, then I'd be absolutely over the moon. But if it can help many, then I'd be absolutely blown away. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.